I have committed my life to it. I stopped working a very high-paying job to become a therapist because, as you know, the system's broke in so many ways,
What did you
including
do before?
therapy. I was a executive level HR person, and that's actually why I'm in Minneapolis right now. It's for a conference because I have rejoined the workforce, but I did take myself out of work for quite a long time and just devoted myself to therapy with my son, and I really don't think he would be where he is at today if I didn't do that. My name is Diane Weiler. I'm talking about my two children that were vaccine injured, Brianna Weiler and Bryce Weiler. I have three children. I have become wise with the third. um, my two children were injured in 2005. Um, do the math. My daughter was 5, my son was 1. I was very oblivious to vaccines. I was the good mom that said, you're supposed to get these shots on this schedule, and I just did it because that's what I'm supposed to do, right? So I didn't really question it. I never had heard of anything about this. I was really just completely the good soldier that just went into the doctor and did what I was told. So on that particular immunization round, obviously I was a 12-month-old and a 5-year-old getting ready for kindergarten. We did the vaccines, and I was just telling the ladies outside the bus that it's something that haunts me to this day. The nurse said to me, boy, you're brave. Are you sure you want to do this? And I remember kind of looking at her like, why are you saying this to me? Do I have a choice? It's like, what's on this sheet? It's the schedule, right? So we went through with it. Immediately following that, my son started to regress with a runny nose, a high fever, constipation, and lost eye contact and lost all of his words, and he was very vocal at that age, already at 1. I took him to the doctor and explained this, and I got a complete runaround, and I was told he had a rotavirus. And really my options were admit him to the hospital where they're just going to observe him, or go home. And I thought, well, if that's all you're going to do, I'm not going to incur a medical bill. I might as well just go home. So I took him home, and it just got worse and worse and worse. It lasted for quite a long time. The constipation became pure hell, where we were just in and out of the ER, and they would say, here, give him the suppository, and I would get mad and said, I've already done that. Is that all you're going to do? So it's just a constant cycle. In the meantime, my daughter, my 5-year-old, had a stroke. The stroke was in the center core of her brain, which, if you know anything about strokes, would kill you or I, which was it's very rare for that to happen to a 5-year-old. A stroke for a child is rare anyway, but a stroke in the center core of the brain is almost unheard of for that young of a child.
Did they have any idea what triggered the stroke? What made it happen?
They tested her for a week. We were in the hospital for a week straight, testing her with every test known to man. They had, I remember standing back against the wall. This is a fairly big hospital room, and it was so full of doctors, I couldn't move. I couldn't even be near her because they were just swarming her, trying to figure out what was going on with her. Every test. I mean, she was a human guinea pig for that whole week, and we're talking spinal taps and things that are not fun to do on a 5-year-old. Did not find a problem. Left us go out of the hospital and said, well, it must be either a virus or we think it could be some kind of a clotting disorder with genetics, but we're not really sure. So I thought, great. So the chances of that happening are what? You know. Anyway, the long and short of that story is my daughter, through the grace of God, in my opinion, complete recovery. She was completely paralyzed on the right side of her body. She sat up on day 6 or 7 in the hospital, straight up with her IV pole, and looked at me, and I thought I was hallucinating, and she was talking normally, and I looked at her like, can you say something else? And because she was slurring really bad, and she was drooping, and you know, really had paralysis badly on the right side of her body. Just sat up like nothing had happened, and I have the pictures of the stroke and how bad the damage was for the stroke, and it's amazing. It's a miracle. It's nothing more than a complete miracle. My son continues to battle. He's amazing, but he is very behind for his age. He's now 12. He has gained speech, and is just a wonderful little boy. But we continue to fight that battle with autism, and maybe someday will wake up and talk to me just like she did. So speech in our house is very, I
So
never
he has
ever
no
tell
speech.
them to be quiet. And when people tell them that they talk too much, I shut them right down. Because those words are music to my ears. So that's my story with the two. It's been an interesting journey.
Interesting's probably, it's been a preventable journey, a heartbreaking journey, a tough, exhausting journey, and it didn't need to happen journey.
It didn't need to happen.
You're an amazing person, amazing mother.
And your daughter is 16?
My daughter is 16. She is a straight A student. She aspires to be a vet. She has a sixth sense with animals, and she has an even more amazing gift with her brother. It's just nothing you can put
Wonderful.
words to. She gets him, he gets her. He has a little sister too, and she is awesome with him as well, but
Little sister, has she not had any vaccines?
little sister has no vaccines.
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
How old is she now?
8.
She's 8 and had no vaccines.
Correct.
And what's the difference?
She's perfectly healthy.
See?
She's-
Every single time, every story we tell with the unvaccinated, we've done this study, people. The parents are gonna stop this, and the parents have done the study. No science needed, we're done.
No.
This study's got to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids right now, don't you think?
Oh yeah. It's all there.
Well, I'm a prime example. I have 2 kids partially vaccinated now, and 1 unvaccinated. What amazes me is the pressure that the doctors put. I will spar with my doctor, my pediatrician. There's a tremendous amount of pressure put on parents every time I go into the clinic. Fortunately, my pediatrician now knows better with me not to go there, but she still asks every single time, and all I have to do is just look at her like, really, we're gonna go here again? Because otherwise you can't even get health care. You can't get health care without hearing, well, you're behind on this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot, and this shot. You really should do that. Same thing with the schools. I've had a lot of flack from the schools. They try to pressure you into getting those, making you believe that you're not compliant, when indeed they don't tell you that it is a choice that you can make. And I hope that never goes away. But there's a lot of pressure, especially as naive as I was back then, to just comply.